Bisaya, Mat di ay. Kadali kasayon atong istoryahan, atong binisayon, aron dali sabton. Maayong adlaw sa tanan and welcome again sa atong segment sa Bisaya Mat di ay. Karong adlaw atong paghisgutan ang lesson nga atong gidiscuss last Thursday and Friday. Ato aning gi-design karon para atong mga classmates ninyong wala naka-join tungod sa ilang participation sa program. So, let's get started. Ang question nga atong tuwagon karon is how do we get the sum and product of roots of quadratic equation? Mingon gid tag sum, pasabot ana natay i-add. Tag product natay i-times. Unsa atong i-times? Basically ang roots sa quadratic equation. Mingon tag roots sa quadratic equation mo ni siya ang katong solution. Di ba nag-solve ta og value sa x. Kung ato atong i-add, then we get the sum. Kung ato atong i-times, then we get the product of the roots of a given quadratic equation. So, para mas madali natong sabton, let's put some examples. Let's say ang atong quadratic equation is x squared minus 5x plus 6 that is equal to 0. Now, to get the sum and product of the roots of this quadratic equation, ang atong himuon is to find the roots. We solve for x. So, para ma-solve for x, using factoring, we get 2 factors that is equal to 0 since positive ang third term. That means parehong sign, parehong negative. And so, we put x here, x on the other side, and we think of a factors ng third term that is 6, such that we add the result is 5, and that is 3 and 2. So from here, we have x minus 3 that is equal to 0, and then x minus 2 that is equal to 0. And so we have x now is equal to 3, and then sa pikas, x is equal to 2. Diri mo na siya itong gitawag karon nga roots. So if we are to get the sum, that means this will be my root 1 is 3, and this will be my root 2 is equal to 2. Therefore, to get the sum, that is r1 plus r2, that is equal to, we replace r1 by 3, and then r2 by 2, and then we add, we get 5 as the sum. Let's take the product. The product basically is r1 times r2, that is equal to, r1 is 3, r2 is 2, so 3 times 2, that will give you 6. So the product will give us 6. Question is, do we have any other method para ma-solve ang sum and product of quadratic equation? Answer is yes. Question is how? So I'm going to erase this all. At least kabalo na taas sa tapadulong. So inato na pag-solve sa sum and product. This time we will make use of another method. We call this method using the coefficient of the quadratic equation. So yung tag using the coefficients, that means it is referring to our that's referring to our value of our a, coefficient of x squared, b, coefficient of x, and then this constant c. So gamit ni ikaduha nga method, identify lang nato a, b, and c. So a is 1, b is negative 5, and c is 6. Take note na ganiya ang sum ani is 5 and then product niya is 6. Let's see kung pareho ba gyapon siya gamit ang another method. So what we will do is we will make use of this r1 plus r2, that is equal to the additive inverse of b over a. Okay, so gamit ni siya kaya na to i-solve ang sum. So we will substitute now b. So we have the negative, and then we make use of parentheses and then the fraction bar. Since b is negative 5 and a is 1, so that is equal to negative, and then negative 5 divided by 1 will just give you negative 5. So now in this next step we have negative of negative 5, so it's awkward when we say negative of negative 5. So instead we will read this negative as the opposite of, right? So pag na negative, sunod ana na parenthesis, and then there's a number, so you read it as the negative of a number. So in here it's negative of or in here it's the opposite. It's the opposite of. So you read it as the opposite of a number. So since there is a negative, so we say the opposite of negative 5. And what's the opposite of negative 5? And that is 5. So therefore the sum R1 plus R2 is equal to 5, which is the same a while ago. Next we'll do the product. The product is R1 times R2. So a while ago we got the product of 6. Let's see if that would still give us 6. So to get the product, we just simply make use of C. It's over A. So this is the formula, C over A. So we substitute, take C as 6, A as 1. So what is 6 divided by 1? That's simply 6. Therefore R1 times R2 is 6. So you have the product. They are the same, pareho lang, but this one is more easier compared to the method that we used a while ago. So take note, para ma-solve na to ang sum, ang atong kailangan lang is R1 plus R2. Kining R1 plus R2 ginagamit lang nato ni para masabtan nato nga we are adding two roots. So pag sum atong kwaon, gamito nato ang additive inverse B over A. That is for sum. For the product, we use R1 times R2, which is simply, let's see, over A. So this is for the product. So this is for the product, and this is for the sum. So gamit ni kaya na to i-solve ang sum and product sa quadratic equation. Let's take another example. Let's say for example you are given a problem that is in this form. Let's have 2x squared minus 4x that is equal to 1. So, para ma-solve na to ang sum, we have to see to it nga naka-standard form atong quadratic equation. Now, this quadratic equation here is not in standard form. So, atong himuon, ato ning i-convert into standard form. And what is the standard form of this? Simply, we will move 1 to the other side of the equation. And so, we get 2x squared minus 4x minus 1, that is equal to 0. And so we have a quadratic equation in standard form. Next is to identify our A, B, and C. So A is 2, B is negative 4, and C is negative 1. So let's try to calculate the sum. The sum again is R1 plus R2, that is equal to additive inverse. So my negative, and then fraction bar, and then that's B, and that's over A. So let's substitute. So that's a negative, and then a parenthesis, and then our B now is negative 4, so we have negative 4. It's over our A, that is 2. And so we get negative, or the opposite of, what's negative 4 divided by 2? That's negative 2. And so instead of reading this one as a negative, we say the opposite of. So the opposite of negative 2 is simply positive 2. So R1 plus R2 is equal to positive 2. That's the sum. Let's try to solve for the product. The product is R1 times R2. That is equal to C over A. So C is negative 1 and A is 2. Since one of the parts of the fraction is a negative, so pwedeng numerator negative, pwede ang denominator. So kung isa ana negative, that will make the whole fraction negative. So you have the negative and then the fraction bar, ipatunga na to. So that will be 1 over 2. So meaning ang product sa roots, that is R1 times R2 is simply negative 1/2. Okay? So atong timan-an nga para ma-solve na to ang sum and product, we make use of R1 plus R2, that is equivalent to the additive inverse. So this one, it's the additive inverse of B over A. So product, on the other hand, R1, R2, that is equal to C over A. That's all, and thank you. I hope nasabtan. Please tune in to the next video nga akong i-upload para sa lesson atong Friday. So good day and have a pleasant weekend to everyone.